Already, I guess we can get started. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, and welcome to another amazing session of our ITOM Visibility and Cloud Accelerate Academy. Today we have a very hot topic, and I'm so glad that you all are joining us today. We have amazing speakers, and we're going to talk about tags. We're going to talk about tags in the cloud, and we're going to address a lot of your questions. So if you're not familiar with this session, this is the Academy that is part of the Live on ServiceNow webinar series. This is a series of events that are really dedicated to showcase all the ins and outs of our products, show you best practices for deployment, adoption, and to really allow you to achieve value faster. If you want to know more about the Live on ServiceNow webinar series and have not registered yet, please check the chat as we have Derek that has just shared one of the links there so you can access it. Or alternatively, you can just scan the QR code that you can see in the slide. Now, housekeeping for today. First of all, in case you're not muted, please make sure that your line is muted. We will have the Q&A feature available to you in order to ask us questions throughout the webinar. So please keep those questions coming in. Make sure to also participate in the polls. We're going to have only one for today, so we would really appreciate your inputs. And for all of you that are wondering, is this session being recorded? Yes, it is indeed, as all the previous sessions. And it will be available in the community dedicated page for this webinar a few days after this event, or alternatively on the YouTube ServiceNow community channel. And one very important thing for today, please make sure that after this session ends, you fill out a very short survey at the end of it because we need your inputs. We're always listening carefully to all of your ideas and your feedback, and we want to make sure to make these sessions better and better. So your feedback is much appreciated. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I am Gian Mario De Luigi, and I'm part of the amazing outbound product management team here at ServiceNow, covering ITOM, specifically ITOM Visibility and Cloud Accelerate. And today we have two amazing speakers together with me, Mike and Sakshi. So please, you can both go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Howdy, my name's Mike Gallagher. I am a ITOM specialist here at ServiceNow. I lovingly joke that if it has a 1 or a 0 in it, I have probably managed it at some point in my 25 plus year IT career. I've done everything from software development to database administration to running ops for a cloud provider here in Denver, Colorado. I was a TAM at VMware for a couple of years, and then I got introduced to ServiceNow and have never looked back. So really excited about what we do, really excited about the ITOM capabilities, and real excited to talk to you guys today about the tag governance capabilities and how it can help. Go ahead,
Thank you,
Sakshi.
Mike. It's awesome to have you here. And Sakshi, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, John. Hi, everyone. Sakshi Tiwari here. I'm an inbound product manager and I handle tag governance. So, really excited to show you all the capabilities that we have in our product and what's going to come up in future. Nice to meet you all.
Amazing. Thank you both for the introductions. Yes, as you can see, we have very experienced people here, people that have been in the field implementing these solutions for a very long time, and people that are actually developing them. So, and of course, we also have Derek Kitzelman, which is my counterpart that is going to handle your Q&A throughout the session as well. So thank you to this fantastic team for joining us. So today, especially at the end of this session, we are gonna have a little gift for you because we'll go through the feature of the products that we're gonna talk about today. So please hang on tight until the end of the session, and please make sure to remember that we could mention something that is planned for the future but has not been committed yet. So safe harbor always applies. Now, quick agenda. We want to make it very nice and short today with the slides. We'll just introduce you to the why and to the what for tag governance, and then we're just going to leave plenty of space to Mike to go over an amazing deep dive demo, and then we'll have Sakshi, as I said before, that is going to bring us through the roadmap of what's coming in. We're trying to, of course, we'll try to address all of your questions throughout the session, and from time to time, we'll dedicate some time to really answer them live. But please keep those questions coming in, and we really appreciate it. As I said before now, I don't even want to introduce too much about this product, but the first thing that I want to make sure we cover is really try to understand how familiar you are with tag governance. So you will now see a poll, and we want to better understand what's your level of familiarity. Are you currently using it? Or have you used it in the past? Have you tried it out? Are you remediating tags automatically, either in the ServiceNow or in the actual cloud providers? Just tell us what are you doing with it. And I see a lot of answers coming in. It looks like a good portion of you have heard of it for sure. And a few of you have also used it or are actually using it to auto remediate tags, which is amazing to hear. And I'm gonna give you another couple of seconds so you can just keep those answers coming in. Now, the first thing that I want to do in the meantime that you provide us with the answers is, why are we even talking in first place about tag governance? First of all, we're trying to address very specific challenges, and this is why we offer this product in the first place. We know that a lot of organizations are currently trying to categorize resources properly, especially when these resources are across different clouds, across different teams, BUs, organizational units, etc. There needs to happen tag standardization because of the global nature of many of your companies. So we know that that's another effort that is ongoing and is not easy to do, especially when you have distributed teams that are sometimes even siloed and they are not communicating internally. And then we know that you potentially could have reasons to perform tag audits, could be for compliance reasons, or just to assess your cloud, or as we'll see, VMware state. And then the tag governance can effectively enable different use cases. We're talking about service mapping with tag-based service mapping, or cost management if you want to tag resources based on cost aspects, or you want to have better access controls or even better alert management, or you are in a regulated industry and you need to comply with specific requirements, especially when it comes to the cloud environments. So these are the reasons why tag governance is important. And in the meantime, I'm gonna end the poll. Thanks all for contributing to it. The second part is the what. Tag governance, essentially, if you look at it, offers you from one end a possibility to have policy-driven tag audits. So you can go and analyze all the resources. We're talking about cloud or specifically VMware resources. And in order to analyze how are they tagged and whether you have specific tagging policies that need to be addressed for those resources. And whenever you don't have that compliance, tag governance, together with the power of the platform, because it's always about ServiceNow as a platform story, and with the broader set of ITOM different capabilities, allows you to either perform a task-based tag remediation, or sometimes, whenever it's possible, automated tag remediations. Now, when it comes to the first part, so to the tag audits, as we'll see in the demo, you can customize your own tag policies in order to allow, first of all, the number of tags that each CI can have, or to determine which tags should each CI have, or even which values should each tag key have. And then when it comes to remediations, as I said, they can be either done through a task creation. So you have an operator that is going to manually act on that non-compliant CI from a tagging perspective, or you can have automated remediations, and not only in ServiceNow, but also in the cloud, especially when you have AWS and Azure deployments. Now, this is the real value of tag governance at a high level, and I want to make sure that you cover all the different aspects through the demo. But please make sure to know two things. Number one, as you see at the bottom here, tag governance is entitled with ITOM Visibility V2 or any bundle that includes it. And if you want to know more, of course, reach out to your account team. And especially tag governance is a store app. So please make sure to go to the store and download the app and try it out because it offers a lot of value, as we're going to see in a few seconds. So without further saying, I know that we'll definitely have some questions coming in and we're going to get them covered soon. If you have just joined, please just remember that this session is actually being recorded and the slides are going to be shared after this session ends. So you're going to have all the links, all the content that you need, except from the roadmap slides, clearly. Whenever we're going to be able to post it in the website in a few days. So without further saying, Mike, please, over to you.
All right. Go ahead and share my screen. Okay. You should see the tag governance dashboard now. So let's take a quick walk through the tag governance app and kind of talk about what the main components are, and then we'll deep dive into how some of those components interact and how they work, and then I'll show you a remediation process live. So to start off with, the tag governance app itself is pretty straightforward. It includes really kind of three main entries, the dashboard, which you're seeing now, and I'll kind of walk through the policies and the remediation. And then there's actually kind of a hidden table that we can talk about called the tag policy types that we can get into a little bit. But that also comes with it and is available, but you have to kind of dig it up and then add in as I did, a favorite here so you can get to it quickly and easily. So let's talk about tag governance and the overview of the dashboard and kind of why it's here. And the ultimate goal of this, right, is to give you a quick snapshot of how are you doing, how is the compliance of your tag policy, and how is it being adhered to within your cloud estate slash VMware estate, right? So kind of overall right here, you can see I've got the, how many CIs are compliant versus non-compliant versus partially compliant. You can see some quick high level of, kind of the most frequently used tags across the infrastructure and least used tags. A lot of times this least used tags piece is actually kind of helpful for pointing out, hey, somebody like mistyped a tag name. So the key is, A and V for environment instead of E and V. So it's a good way to sort of catch some of those kinds of things like that. And then we can kind of drill into the policy view. So what this is this gives you the ability to kind of dig into an existing policy and see kind of what it's doing. So in this particular case, I'll filter it down to my AWS environment, and I will specifically say, hey, I want to look at how things are going with this date tag policy, which I'll show you. And yep, unsurprisingly, because I built it that way, we have 6 non-compliant CIs to this tag policy. And of course, you can click on those and drill into them if you'd like, but we'll get into more detail there. And then the last tab here is the efficacy, right? So this is showing you, hey, overall, how are you doing on your coverage, on your CIs, what's being governed, what's not, of the things that are being governed, how compliant are they? And you can see right now, I have a ton of CIs in my CMDB that are not governed, mostly because it's kind of demo data around things that could be in a data center. And I'm primarily focused on the cloud infrastructure CIs, which is the only ones that I have that are actually governed. So you'll see a little bit more detail. This is not a normal look for what a regular customer would see. Now, that being said, let's dig into the policies and what they are and how they work and why you would set them up, right? So remember, the ultimate goal of this is to effectively find a way to govern your organization's tagging strategy and tagging policy and ensure it's being applied and managed and kept, right? So there's a couple of key things here. You can create multiple different policies and you can create multiple different kinds of policies. As Sakshi's going to talk about, we're constantly adding in new types of policies, new ways to create policies. So I've got a couple of example policies that I'll kind of take you through. So the first is this EC2 owner policy. So this is a tag key policy. So this policy is stating, hey, this particular tag is expected to be applied. And there's multiple kind of configurations that are available on here that I'll kind of walk you through. So first things first is obviously you have to give it a good positively descriptive name. And then you tell it what key you're expecting to be applied to these resources. In addition to that, you can filter it down to a specific cloud service account, which I've done here to ensure that it's only looking at the cloud system that I really want it to. And you can also filter it down to specific CI classes. And in this particular case, I'm also having it focus primarily on virtual machine instances or EC2 instances and the Amazon case. So I did that specifically because I haven't really run any tagging against other types of resources in the environment. And as a customer, when you're thinking about implementing this, you may have different tagging policies based on different types of resources within your environments. And so therefore, this gives you the ability to say, hey, this policy is to ensure that, all load balancers are tagged with this particular information that's necessary for load balancers and differentiate that from different types of resources within your cloud infrastructure so that you can ensure that the right policies are applied to the right types of class. You can also say, I only want this particular policy to apply to things that already have a specific key and value or a specific tag already applied to it. That is an option. In my case, I feel like I wanted to cast a wider net and ensure that I wasn't filtering down too restrictively. So I did not include a tag filter in that process. So up here on the top right-hand corner, you can see this policy is currently active. I have this set to run on cloud events, right? Just a quick aside, everything changes in the cloud pretty quickly. And so in general, you as organizations should be thinking about doing event-driven discovery, meaning that as something new gets spun up or torn down, the cloud infrastructure sends that event in some way, shape, or form into the ServiceNow platform, and then the CMDB gets updated as appropriate within, 5 to 10 minutes time. It's much more accurate and much more appropriate. Well, we need to also be able to enforce the tag policies in a near real-time basis as those events are occurring and things are being spun up and spun down. And that's what this is about. You click that checkbox, and as a new cloud event comes in saying, hey, a new thing has been spun up, let's go look at those tags and ensure that those tags are appropriate and accurate and are following our policies. Now, so you can see we've done a few runs here, and I've got 6 CIs that have been analyzed against this particular policy. 3 of them are certified as, hey, everything looks okay, and the other 3 have failed. And you'll notice that this task field over here on the right is empty. So what you can do is to say, hey, right now, this is just informational. Hey, these things are not correct, they're not accurate, and just be aware of it, right? But if we want to actually take action against that to try and fix it, that's where you can create tasks, right? So you can say, so the way I think about it, the first phase is to know that something's wrong. The second phase is to let someone else know that something's wrong so that they can go and fix it. And then the third phase is to automatically fix it wherever possible, right? And so as a result, start with, hey, what do our policies look like? How close are we to actually getting things accurate? And then, okay, now go fix it. Now we are comfortable with that. We have the information necessary to fix it, then we can automate that. And I'll show you each of those. So this is phase two. Phase two is let's go ahead and create a task and send it over to our ITOM Rockstar support. And so that way they can be notified when that occurs. So we'll go ahead and update that. And then we'll go back into that policy and rerun it. And then you'll see another audit run that will come up. And this time, the latest policy findings now will have tasks associated with them. So now you can go and look at these tasks and you can see that they were assigned to the ITOM Rockstar support group and they can be followed up on, they can take action against them and go and solve the problems. That's phase two, right? Let's take a look at another type of policy. So this one's a little bit more granular. So this is a key and value policy. So now I'm saying, hey, I need to see both a key and an expected value for that key on this particular set of resources. And in this particular case, you'll see that instead of just saying, hey, here's what the value is, you can put in a static value in this value field here. But instead, what I've done is I've built a script that actually returns a specific value that I am expecting. Now, this is a widely example use case. This is not like a real world use case, but I wanted something that would be obvious and kind of show how this works. So what I've done is I've just applied two different tags, a today tag and a tomorrow tag, right? And the today tag, right, uses a glide query to actually get today's date. And then the tomorrow tag does effectively the same thing plus one, right? And so it is expecting the today tag to have today's date in it and the tomorrow tag to have tomorrow's date in it. And again, just like earlier, I filtered it down to my specific cloud service account, to those specific CIs, and you'll notice all of these have failed. And so if you look, here's my Amazon instance where I have all these EC2s running. Here are all these tags, right? And I've got them set currently to today is February 8th, which is off, obviously, and tomorrow would be February 9th. Again, also off, obviously, right? So as we go and look at this, now I can, if I were to rerun this, let's just rerun it now. So let's run the audit and it'll come back yet again, hey, that failed. And here's all of the components that have failed, right? So yet again, these are all failed and it tells you here's what the expected value was, right? The expected value was 11 for today and 12 for tomorrow. And if we go and look at the CI for this particular, the CI record for that EC2 instance, we can see the key value pairs down here at the bottom that the today tag should be the 11th and the 12th. That's interesting. I wonder if it fixed that automatically. So now it has automated it internally within the CMDB, but it has not gone out and fixed it in the cloud yet. And here's what's going on. You can set it to automate and remediate those tags. And there's two different options. So let's talk about these remediations, right? There's two different ways that you can do it. So remediation, you start by saying, hey, here is the policy that I'm going to follow to remediate against. And there's two different options. There's auto remediate, which fixes the tags locally within the ServiceNow CMDB. And then there's update the tags in the cloud, right? And there's a couple of different caveats to that. If you fix the tags on the local CMDB, the next time you go and discover that resource, it will actually overwrite those tags and you'll be back into a broken state again. And so it's better to do both or just update the tags in the cloud. And then the next time the discovery runs, it fixes the tags locally in the CMDB. And there you go, off and run to the races, right? So the way that this works is when you run it, it looks at, first of all, let's talk about how I built this, right? So what I'm saying is I want to remediate these two tags, the tomorrow tag and the today tag. And again, I use those same scripts, right, in order to generate the output. You can have it be static values, or you can have it just be a script like I've done here. And you can do all kinds of things with the script here. You can look at the other resources in its relationships and maybe take tag values from, some other piece up the stack, right? So you could potentially do that. Or you can pull in, information from the CI as it's been managed, right? And um, so there are ways that you can kind of pull in different information. In this particular case, I have just made it to follow the exact same thing so it gets the proper date, right? So now you can generate the first thing you need to do is generate the previews, right? I've already got those here, so I don't need to do that, right? So what this is saying is as I'm looking at these configuration items and I want it to be these values, and then we can actually go and run this remediate tags flow context. So once I click this remediate tags button, it will actually go out and run that flow context. Let's take a look. So this is actually running kind of multiple separate flows that come with the tag governance app. So the first flow that it runs is basically a bulk remediation flow that goes through this mass remediation flow that goes through and it pulls in, here's all the various tags. Are we updating the cloud tags? Do we actually have the right license entitlement? Because you need to be able to have some sort of ITOM governance license entitlement to be able to update the tags in the cloud. And then it pulls in, hey, I have this list of tags that I want to have remediated. And then it goes through and it just iterates through those and calls this remediate tags subflow, right? And this remediate tags subflow also comes with tag governance. So if we pop open that subflow context, you can actually see what it's doing is it's actually going through and it's actually going through and saying, hey, all right, I've got all the tags I want to remediate. I'm logging anything if things are failing. And now I'm going out to determine if I'm going out into the cloud to update the tags. Yes, I am. And then I'm checking to see if this is in AWS. Yes, it is. So we're going to actually go and apply those values in AWS, right? And here you can see the information around here's what it's doing. And then here are the individual steps and what the values were for those steps and the success codes. So you can see, hey, I'm actually going to run this. I'm going to do it against this particular component. Here's the items. Here's the resource ID that I'm running that against. And now if we go and look at these EC2 instances here, we should see that these tags have now all been updated to the appropriate date and time. So I saw a question around what AWS permissions are required in order to be able to do that. That's actually fairly well documented, and I can kind of like walk you through a little bit of that if we have time as we get close to wrapping up. But yes, there are very specific permissions that are required. From a configuration standpoint, I am using in EC2 an IAM role that is attached to my mid server, and that IAM role has all the necessary policies attached to it so that it can actually jump in and do the things that are necessary in order to get this done. Now, this supports both AWS and Azure. Unfortunately, I didn't get time to set up an Azure demo to show you guys that today. And it is slightly different permissions needed between the two, obviously, given the IAM structures are wildly different. But in both of those cases, it is doable, it is possible, and you just need to have the right configurations. I know there was a question earlier about GCP, and I'm sure we can bend Sakshi's ear about that when she jumps on. So let's go back to the instance now, and we can actually talk a little bit about a couple of the other components that you can use. So when I start looking at, excuse me, excuse me. So let's go back. Let's look at the tag policy types. So this is something that you can actually build your own. And these, you need to be able to do some UI policies and scripts in order to do it. This is the code that shows, how the tag count policy actually works today. And it's pretty straightforward. And it comes with here's how it works and what the code is. And then you can actually go back and I would not recommend making changes out of this, but you can actually create your own policies. You can build your own scripts and your own UI policies around how it would look so that you can build these out yourself and add in some other special configurations that could potentially be useful specifically for your organization. That was a whole ton of detail and we got pretty deep into it. And the kind of last but not least, I'll kind of wrap things up with just, this is, from my experience, really, really, really critical. Every customer that I talk to says, gosh, we really want to do service mapping and we need to do service mapping in the cloud. And tag-based service mapping is one of the shortest times to value of any of the service mapping capabilities that we have provided. And every customer I talk to says, yeah, that sounds great, but our tags are a mess. They're all over the place. It's the wild, wild west. And so it makes it very difficult for customers to do tag-based service maps. And ultimately, tag governance is really the answer to that problem. It's not going to fix your tag policy, right? You as an organization still need to sit down and you still need to have a very deep and thoughtful conversation around what does our tag policy look like? How are we going to implement it? What are the things that are necessary for us to be able to manage these resources appropriately? Do we need the business owner tagged? Do we need the application service tagged? Do we need the technical owner tagged, right? Do we need some sort of billing information in these tags in order to be able to manage it properly? So you have to have that conversation as an organization. But once you do, now you can go in and build these policies within the tag governance capability. You can actually enforce them properly and you can actually rely on that data in order to do tag-based service maps in order to provide value back to the organization. So I know this seems like a really simple, short, straightforward demo, but it's the amount of value that it can provide your organization if you guys can get this right is really, really powerful. So sorry, I'll back off and get off of my soapbox now.
That was amazing, Mike. Yeah. So I know that we had a lot of questions, so I want to make sure
Mhm.
that we get some time to answer some of them. And Derek, especially since you have been answering a lot of them, which ones do you think we should bring for everyone's interest?
Um,
Especially from a roadmap perspective, yes, if a few of you
yeah,
were interested on the GCP support for
yeah.
remediations, And yes, that's a planned item. And again, this is a safe harbor notice. These are just plans. Nothing is finalized yet, but that's definitely one of the priorities that we have. When it comes to permissions, as you said, Mike, there are specific permissions you need to get specifically to auto-remediate tags in the cloud for AWS and Azure. And for those of you that were asking about what's the value that ServiceNow adds on top of the specific tools and leading practices that cloud providers currently offer, well, ServiceNow offers a sort of orchestration layer on top to allow you to manage tags not only at a cloud provider layer, but across different cloud providers, across different teams, across different views that oftentimes have very specific tagging practices that are not shared across the board, which makes uh, managing resources across teams very difficult. So that, of course, doesn't come only with tag governance. I would say that's more of also an organizational effort to make sure that all these different views talk and they all agree to specific tagging standards. That's definitely key. But tag governance is a great tooling, and thank you so much, Mike, for bringing us through an amazing demo there. I see, Derek, you're still answering a few of these questions.
yeah, I think one like Igor and Eric both asked, can we remediate tags in VMware? And not out of the box, right? I mean, definitely not impossible to write a flow to do that, but out of the box, we don't have that ability to remediate tags in VMware.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I would encourage everyone to do is to really leverage our idea portal. That's and we're gonna post the link in here. So Idea Portal is the main source for you to submit ideas to us. And the Idea Portal will basically work in this way. Once anyone submits an idea for either a product enhancement or for a new product to be developed, once 10 or more customers, which means 10 different customers, not necessarily 10 people from the same organization, upvote that idea, then it will automatically get the attention of us, of the product management team, and that will be put in the roadmap. So that's a great opportunity for all of you. So
Yeah,
that,
and
yeah.
one thing, John Mario, there was, Mike brought up event-driven discovery and our ability to, basically reevaluate the tag policies when we receive an update to a resource. So, I don't know how prevalent it is that organizations are leveraging event-driven discovery, but I would definitely, and I posted links for AWS, Azure, GCP, and VMware in the chat. So, I would look at, investigate leveraging event-driven discovery. One, I think it makes managing, the CMDB lifecycle easier, and it will help with your tag governance as well, and ultimately tag-based service mapping.
That's a great point. Thank you so much, Derek. And we're going to make sure to include all these tips and useful links in the decks. Now, I know that we have a lot of questions here, but I want to make sure that we cover the roadmap, which everyone has been waiting for. So, Sakshi, if you want to share your screen, we're going to go through the last part, and then I'm going to take it on from there.
Yeah, sure, John. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. Let me take you through the overview of our roadmap. First and foremost is the elevation in the UI. This is just a snapshot of what we are doing right now. but you can see we are trying to improve and make it seamless for the users. So this is one of our major focus areas in tag governance workspace. Now coming to the tag categorization policy type. So as Mike talked about it earlier, we are giving this tag categorization policy in our product from Q2. Here you can categorize your tag keys. And so what do I mean by categorizing? For example, there's a tag called environment. Now, people might define it as ENVT, ENV within your organization, but all of this means environment. So you want to club all the keys and they all fall into a one particular category. So we are bringing out this enhancement as one of our policy type. You can define tag categories. There's also an option to select tag values. So this is one more item in our roadmap right now. And as Jan has already mentioned, GCP support is planned for August. It is definitely in our roadmap, but yeah, it's with a safe harbor notice, but it is in our plan. So that's it from
Amazing.
my
Thank you, Sakshi. Yeah. So what we're going to do now, are there any final questions? This is a great opportunity for you to keep asking any questions that haven't been asked so far. And otherwise, we'll keep going with the very last useful links and slides. I see the Q&A box. Questions are coming in.
So there's a couple that I'll kind of just answer live here. So there was a question around handling cloud tag limitations. So I would not recommend programmatically parsing tag values in order to break things down. So my thought would be to add additional keys to be able to kind of track that down. And as I've talked through with folks on the Beers with Engineers community, there's been a couple of like recommendations around how folks are managing tags within their cloud environments today. And one of them was to do things like adding prefixes to the tags for which cloud environment that tag is from to sort of help mitigate some of the differences between the various different cloud environments so that you can see how the tags, you can quickly kind of parse that out. The other piece is to sort of add kind of a namespace to it so that you can quickly see like, oh, this tag is for this particular team because it's in their namespace, and so therefore we can just ignore it or not parse it or not deal with it. So I guess I would say no, I would not recommend parsing the values in that way because I feel like that becomes a little less well-defined. And I would say build a policy more around managing things with either multiple keys or with a clearly defined key structure that enables you to build it out the way you're looking at. It might be a nitpick, but that's how I would recommend it. And then Raul, you asked around audit results creating CMDB health result records. To my knowledge, that it does not occur, and the CMDB health is at least out of the box. I'm sure you could probably build something to do that, but out of the box, that is not part of the process. So, and then Harsh, you had a question around the value must be numeric. Yeah, I would think that that's the only way to manage that would be to build a script to ensure that it's numeric by evaluating that and ensuring it's actually a number field. Ronald, your question, that's really more around the VMware event-driven discovery. I'd be happy to discuss that with you on another time. Let's see here. Nitty, great question around the Nutanix piece. That is not something that I'm aware of. I do
And for
know that
anyone that is asking about these links, we're gonna make
yeah,
sure to again share these slides with all of you just a few days after this event is finished. So you're gonna have all these links and the recording so you can rewatch it.
yeah, yeah. And then last but not least, we can absolutely issue tasks to teams based on the type and the policy to ensure that things get remediated properly. So
Right.
excellent. I appreciate you guys bringing all the great questions.
Yeah, it is a very engaged audience. So thanks all for the numerous questions we had today. And yes, so I want to make sure that everyone again gets a chance to enroll to the 11 ServiceNow webinar series here, where you can see more details about the sessions that are upcoming, especially for this academy. The next session is going to be very important, where we're going to discuss how ITOM visibility is going to integrate with different other products, specifically around the Derek, maybe can mention really quickly this topic actually, since you're here.
Yeah, the next session, we're going to be discussing the ITOM visibility and security posture control better together functionality within the platform to help identify gaps in policies and how to automate remediations based off of security tool gaps.
That's amazing. Really looking forward to it, Derek. And for those of you that want to see previously recorded sessions of this academy, make sure that you either scan this QR code or you can leverage this link. Maybe if anyone can put it in the chat, that would be really helpful. Either way, you're going to access these slides and they're going to be available on the website. So you're going to be covered in that perspective. And also, Mike and Will conduct a very useful series when it comes to product deep dives that it's called Beers with Engineers. You can scan the QR code to directly go to their micro website. And here there is the YouTube on demand link that is going to be available to you. Specifically, these sessions are really more technical and have a more deep dive nature, so you're gonna definitely enjoy them. Mike and Will are doing an amazing job, and as you've seen today, are really, really good experts.
And our next session is on the new cloud license estimator that's coming out. And it's a deep dive on how to set it up, how it's going to work, and how you'll be able to use it to understand what your cloud license posture will look like prior to actually getting everything built and paying for it. So looking forward to dive into that.
Amazing, Mike. Yes, we are all looking forward to that session, I believe. So I would say that's everything for today. Make sure that you check the slides that are going to be shared with you, because you're going to have appendix with more tips and that we haven't discussed today. But it was a great pleasure to feature amazing presenters for today. So thank you, Sakshi. Thank you, Mike, for your amazing contributions. I see a lot of great reactions today. And thank you so much, Derek, for the great support that you offered throughout the session. We're going to see you next month. Again, I believe it's going to be March 11th. And that's going to be the next session with Derek. So thanks again for your great contributions. Thanks again for being the most amazing audience. And I will look forward to see you all soon. Thank you.